Since Flash 8, we've been able to add cue points to our video. These cue points are little markers that go inside the video and are useful for navigating to certain points in the video, like little chapter markers, or for attaching action script to trigger different types of events. Well, since Adobe now has Flash, this is great. There's a new piece of integration now. There's integration between all the different video products can now put in these cue points. So let's go into a program such as After Effects and Premiere Pro and also Sound Booth now. We're all capable of adding cue points into the video, which can be understood by Flash. This is a great time saver if you're working on video. If you don't have video products, it's okay. The Flash video encoder is also able to do that, and we'll look at that in a minute. But right now what we'll do is we'll import a piece of video into After Effects. So we'll just choose Import, and we'll import the file. And we're just going to find some video here. Let me just go up a level. And we're looking for the cue points video. And here we have a little bit of video. We'll just click open, and we've just brought in a QuickTime movie. And we'll just drag this down here so we can see it. And this would work very nicely too inside of other programs. Like we can do it just the same way in Premiere. And what we're going to do is we're going to add some cue points. Now to add a cue point, all we do is we simply drag this little marker out, and then we can double click the marker, and this is our composition marker that we would use, and if you use After Effects a lot, you'd be familiar with this. But something new here is we've got the viewpoints here, the cue points, and we'll call this one beginning. And then we'll click navigation. We'll just create some navigation cue points. I'll just make you aware of the fact you can create event cue points, but that involves a lot of action script. And you can look that up actually in the help files and see all the different things you can do with that. But we're going to go through and create these different navigation cue points. So we'll click OK. Now let's move through our video to the point where the train stops. Let's add another one. We'll just drag it out into position, double click it, and we'll call train stop. And click OK. Now the doors open, everybody goes off. Let's add another one when the doors close, right there. We'll just drag out the marker, double click the marker, and we'll call it door close. And click OK. Now we could wait if we want to wait until the train starts again. Let's add one more cue point here. And we'll double click this one. And we'll call this one train move. And click OK. Now finally we'll just go to the end here. And we could just drop a marker right at the end. Or close enough to it. And then we'll just call this one end. And click OK. So there we go. Now we've added our different cue points. And you can see they're here as markers. They've got numbers on them. And these are useful for navigating and doing different things inside of After Effects or Premiere. But also this is going to be useful for us in Flash. Because if you've ever noticed in Flash that when you hit the forward and back buttons inside the video component, it'll just take you to the beginning or the end of the video. And sometimes it won't do anything at all. But by adding these, we can actually get some kind of control. Now the next trick is going to be able to get these cue points into Flash. So what we need to do inside of After Effects, you can't just choose the render. What we need to do is we have to add it to the render queue where there's more options. And let's just find this. Here we go. Add to render queue is in the composition setting. And now we've got the render queue window here. We can drag this window out and we can replace any of the windows there. Notice that we can just place it. Let's drop it right on the top here so we can see what's going on. Give ourselves a little bit more space to mess around with. Alright, so we've got render settings and we've got our output settings. So let's click on the output settings here. And we can set up our different output settings. We can set up the alpha and different things like that. Let's have a look over here. And we can choose our formats here. Now what we want to do is we want to choose Adobe Flash Video for our format. And it's just going to take a little second for it to think, and now here we go. We can set our Flash Video options. And here it's going to go out at the 320 by 240, which is a good size for web. We can export the audio or not. There's no audio in there. We would set up all our settings, and basically we just go through here, set up all your render settings onto VP6, that's the codec that we want. Set up your frame rate. There's no audio, we're not worried about that, and we would just basically click OK. And then all we would do is click OK. And now we would choose where we want to output it to. We could do the New York subway there. And let's actually do, let's do subway 2. And then we'll click save. And now we're ready to render the video. We just hit the render button. And here we go. It's actually going to go ahead now and it's going to render all this video as an FLV using our settings, and all the cue points are going to be embedded. So we'll just close out of here. We're done with After Effects. We don't need to work in there anymore. We've actually created our video. Now, if you don't have After Effects, let's see how we can do it inside the Flash Video encoder. We'll just choose Add, and we'll just grab our cue point video. And here's our sequence. And then what we can do is we can click it there, and then we choose Settings. Now when we're inside our settings, we can actually go into cue points here and notice that we can go to different points. For instance, our train stops, we can add a cue point right here. And we can say stops, and we can change it from an event to a navigation cue point. So as you can see, we can very easily just go through here, adding all these different cue points. We could add another one there if we wanted. And I won't continue because I think you get the general idea. So we can just go in here and it shows these cue points at the different points. Then we'd click OK, and then we would just start the cue, and it would actually start rendering this out, and we could add the cue points there as well. But if you're working in video, inside a video program, it's a great idea when you're editing your video if you can add your cue points at the same time, that you don't have to go into the Flash Video encoder. Alright, let's have a look at adding it now. Let's test this. We're going to go under our user interface here, and in the component, and we're going to grab the FLV playback. We're going to drop the FLV playback component onto the stage. Now let's go into the parameters. And one of the things we want to do too is we want to actually have a skin now. So let's look at our skins. And the important thing we want to do is we want to definitely have some kind of a seek. So we could click on this one here. Actually, that's not what we're looking for. Let's look for the skin under all. There we go. And see, we've got these forward and backward buttons. These are what we're looking for. We definitely need those because these will help us to navigate to the different cue points. So we'll click OK, and now we've added this. Now we need to add the source. Notice too that there's a field called cue points, and there's nothing in there right now. Let's grab our source here. And we could grab New York Subway 2 or 1. Let's just grab 1 that I previously rendered. And we'll click OK. And now let's go up and have a look at the cue points again. Notice now all the cue points have been added in here. It shows the time, and it tells you it's a navigation cue point. And it has its name. Here's its name, the time, the name. The name, the time, and the type again is navigation. Okay. So we've got all those cue points in there. Let's test this movie. So here we go. The movie's playing right now. You can see the progress bar there. What if we pause this? And if we hit the back button, look at this. We can actually go now through all the different points in the video. And we're navigating through all our different cue points. So we can play the video if we want. We'll just hit the stop and then we'll hit play again. There we go, our video is going, and we can snap to the next cue point there, which is when the train stops. And let's go back to that point. See, we can navigate through our video very easily now. So we'll just pause again. We can scrub through our video. Let's go to the first one. There we go, that's where the train stops. And I think you get the general idea. So now we've got these navigation cue points, and it really enables these buttons and gives us more functionality. Particularly if you're working on a long video, you can set up these points. And you can also set up ActionScript to go directly to those cue points by using their labels.